Atha Yoga Nasasanam. And now, yoga. This will be a teaching. It may sound strange to some of those who lack knowledge, the words I said in the beginning. Yoga means yoke, which means union. So now I speak of things of union, essentially. The knowledge that people have wanted to know, but has been hidden. That is what a teaching is for. We have entered into a new age, the age of Aquarius. And many things shall be revealed, as many things are being revealed, from dark to light. This is my contribution. I will teach you of the true meaning of human sacrifice. We will be going over Thoth's warning. And we will go over the dark ones and their actions. You must understand, the infinite creator belongs not to one tradition of man, but to all traditions of men. And great teachers have come and said many things to leave us clues and hints how to return. Our issue is we were set against each other instead of sharing with each other. The greatest commandment that was given by Yeshua, because J didn't exist until 1524, so it couldn't have been that man's name, was honor the Father, love the Father with all your heart, mind, and spirit. He saw it, the infinite creator, as a father, as will happen. But he said another one, love yourself as you love your neighbor. When you come to love yourself and understand and accept yourself and sort out yourself, you begin to expand your own sense of self. And you begin to include others that are like you. Inside of my life journey, I have come across many who are similar to me. We are alike. We are family. We are brothers and sisters, just because of our experience. The person looking out of the eyes, the random thoughts and dreams and internal things that people don't talk about, I collect those stories because that is true treasure. Put not your treasure on earth where moth and dust doth corrupt, but put them inside heaven. It will say. Our true treasures are experiences that make us grow and that have us overcome as we build our character. You must build yourself into being something more. It is not something that just comes. It is a conscious, focused effort. I use the Bible so that I can explain things. For many people do not see the wisdom hidden within. They look at what people following a cult have done, how they've caused war when their master taught peace. He's called the Prince of Peace, and yet the cult made war. That's how you know who is and who isn't following teachings. So this is for also Christians to understand. And by the way, I take a moment and I may be thinking of the words I want to say before I speak, so that I do not make a fool of myself completely. let us begin to go through the sacred scriptures and stories and legend and lore, so that I can build for you the understanding that leads to knowing this is the proper way. Because I came to love myself and only myself, I begin to see other people outside of me, and I begin to see their self and the same things I struggle within them. And inside of a move of great compassion, I was moved to act and help. And so I talk and speak to many people. And inside of that, I started to realize there are whole other cultures out there that the world has told me about, but I know nothing about them. They say one thing about them, but how true is that if you do not talk to a person yourself? You will not know a man unless you talk to them yourself. And so I'm doing my dissertation, but this is a teaching. See, life happens. Life happens. It's just like with children. They come in and interrupt, and they do things, and people get so angry over it. For what? They are people too. They have things they need to do. They have things they want to know. They want to be nurtured so that they can be brought into fullness. For they too are called a seed, and the seed is put into the earth, and the earth then grows the seed into a tree, and the tree comes forth and bears fruit which has a seed. It is an infinite chain where everything builds upon itself. Such is the study of life and death and fertility, though I didn't study them in that order. Let us go and get into the scriptures. Why do you call Jesus Lord and do not what he says? What were the words that he said? What were the things that you were to do? I did not put it together until I got much older of what I was doing when I was young. But now that I understand, I can give it. Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God. Then he says in Luke 17:21 or 20:21 to ask him, where shall the kingdom of heaven come? It shall not come inside of the sky. It says inside of the Gospel of Philip and Thomas, one of those two. And he says inside of there, he clarifies when he's teaching his disciples and not being a sass master with the Pharisees. If your leaders tell you that it comes in the sky, surely the bird will precede you. If your leaders tell you it comes in the ocean, then surely the fish will precede you. And if the people say it comes from the earth, then surely the worm or creeping thing will precede you. Lo, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Inside of the scripture, the Bible, since people are against reading the Gnostic scriptures, you must understand there were 12 apostles. Why do you only hear from 4? This is important. All 12 make the house. There are 12 tribes of Judah that are supposed to come together, right? You need the teachings of all of them. You need to be a wise man and learn discernment so that you can discern the words for yourself. He says, They will not say, lo here, nor lo there, or lo there, or lo there, or lo there, or lo there, for the kingdom comes without observation. No one can see it. The kingdom of heaven is within you. You must go inside of yourself. And if you don't believe me, you can go to Matthew 23 and listen to his condemnation on the Pharisees. And within there, he says, woe unto you, Pharisees, hypocrites, for you neither go in yourselves or let those go in who are seeking to enter in. So obviously, he means going within yourself. People can rarely ever stand to look at themselves in mirrors. They go to churches and steeples. And don't get me wrong, congregating feels good, feels nice, especially whenever your spirit is being fed. But you must make sure that you know what your spirit is fed. Pleasures, sense pleasures. We'll cover that inside of a moment. I will do a reading as well. But that's not where God lives. You have become uncircumcised. You do not live from within yourself, most people. So therefore you do not understand the words that are being spoken, the gentle whispers. Acts 17:23. If you read through the whole thing, I don't know if it's Peter or Paul, one of them, they're going through the city and they're looking at all the idols and all the gods that hang all around. And he's seen a temple that was written to the unknown God. So he says, those of you, I beheld what you were seeing. I beheld your temples and everything. I seen you had a scripture that, oh God, let me declare him before you. The Lord that made the earth and heaven and all things therein dwells not in temples made with hands. And there's nothing that you can offer him for seeing he made all things. So what are you supposed to give to the Creator if you truly are faithful and you worship? If you read the Aquarian Gospel, since we are in the age of Aquarius, when Jesus was a child, he went and saw all the animals being sacrificed. And he goes up and he's like, don't you hear the bleating of the animals? What are you doing this for? Why are you killing them? Don't kill them. It points to the Psalms of King David. I believe it's 46, Psalms 40, verse 6. Sacrifice and burnt offering thou didst not require. My ears have thine open. Sacrifice and sin offering, no, didn't want that. You've opened my ears. We should not be sacrificing animals or anything. And also in the Aquarian Gospel, it clarifies that men sacrifice Elihu. He clarifies that men sacrifice to demons in their minds, but they have no power, no nothing. All the things that they're sacrificing for, it's not going to do it. So, for you all who want to massacre innocent animals for rituals, that's not the sacrifice. Since the temple is within yourself. There's a story within the yogic lore that if you watch enough of Sadhguru, you will eventually find. Can't tell you how many hours I've watched that guy over the past few years since I intensified my search and seeking, my sadhana, my spiritual practice. Because sometimes it's good to listen to the sages as they tell stories. That's how you inspire yourself. Stories. So, a king, Shiva. Shiva is not the king. I'm starting over. Well, he is. It's difficult. Shiva is Adi Yogi. He is the first yogi. He is known as the destroyer of worlds. His name means he who is not. He is the causeless cause inside of the Hindu faith, and he sits at the head, the top of the Godhead, as Mahadev, Lord of Lords. So, this is a personification of the highest deity. Did he come down here and teach us yoga? Maybe someone sat down in meditation, and he destroyed their world and turned it to ash. My world was turned to ashes before I learned of Shiva and doing all this stuff when I sat down. So, but when I see a like thing and I can key in on it, I learn that this has importance to me in my journey. So now I want to know parts of this. You must grow spiritually from a child into an adult. Just sitting here and thinking that you can be covered inside blood and say someone's name. The infinite creator creates so many things. It makes all these paths. Why do you exist? Why did he create you? What is the point for your journey? To return. And they all say, seek the Father. Go back within yourself, or seek the Mother. For all things that are born have a father and a mother. But you do not know of these spirit things. You must have clarification. Because in the beginning there was the one. And when it spoke, it created ripples. And the ripples went back and forth, male and female. So there came a father and a mother. The father is might, will, action that sets things together. The mother is wisdom. Inside of your brain, you have Pia Mater and Dura Mater. Mater means mother. You sit here, your body is made of things. Matter. Matter means mother. Mater. It's pretty simple. You have to learn the etymology. Just like alcohol comes from al-ghul, which means the spirits or the ghouls coming into you. Therefore, we call it spirits. Everything, words have meaning. You must understand the meaning of words. Shiva was having a festival. It was a time for people to venerate him. So a great emperor decided that he was going to build a temple for Shiva, a magnificent temple. And he had all of his laborers go out and build this huge steeple, just beautiful design. The best temple in the land to Shiva was going to be built by him. And Shiva would come there on his day and honor his temple. There was a poor man that sat inside of a hut. He worked meagerly, trying to make a living. He didn't have much, but he was a devotee. He built a temple to Shiva, but he built the temple inside himself. He went inside himself and he laid down every stone, piece by piece. And he constructed this mighty, magnificent temple a temple so grand that Shiva could not ignore it. So when the day came, Shiva set out on his journey to go and sit with the one who had built the temple that he admired the most. To the rich man's following, he goes, "Where's Shiva? He's not here. I've built this deep temple. It's the greatest temple in the land. Where would he go besides my temple?" And his ego came. Desperately seeking Shiva, he wanted to know who had the bigger temple than him. What kingdom did he come from? What place was he trying to venerate? Shiva went to the beggar. He honored his temple on the inside. Then it was known where Shiva went, to this man's house. The king didn't know anything about this man until he went seeking him. And he came there, and he got to this dirty, dingy little hut, and he said, "Are you such and such? Whatever your name is. You'll know the story if you find it. Trust me." And he said, "Yes, I am him. What do you want, sir? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do anything. I can see you're a king, and I'm just a lowly little man." And he said, "Where's this temple that you built to Shiva that is so great? I don't see any temple. Take me to this temple that you built to Shiva. But why would he come to you?" And he said, "I can't take you to the temple I built to Shiva, for I built it within myself, and I laid it brick by brick." He took the time to sit there inside of his own mind and construct the most magnificent temple. The temple of the living Father is within you. Do you not know your body is a temple and you are the Holy Spirit within? 1 Corinthians 6:19. Matthew said, Jesus in Matthew 6, he gives more condemnation, talking about people who build great steeples. Well, now that's not in Matthew 6. It's in there. It's in Matthew 6. He says, "Don't be as the I don't know if it's heathens or something like that do. For they sit up there and they love to profess inside the streets and inside the synagogues the Lord. But whenever you go to pray, go into your closet, shut the door, and pray to your Father in secret, and he will reward you openly." So the key is to go inside yourself. Thoth gave a warning. He says, "Betray not my knowledge to the people of the north or to the south." He gave a warning so that the meanings of his lessons would not be lost. If you do not know, Jesus, that name comes from Ioesus, which is Hell Zeus inside the Greek. But it also is a number structure because Greek letters are an alphabet. It's 888. This points to Chemenu or Hermopolis inside of Egypt, the city of the Agdad, or the city of Eight town. There, Lord Thoth, the Atlantean, is patron deity. He's often depicted with an inkhorn at his side. You must come to learn symbols and meanings. And some believe that he is a being inside of Ezekiel. Ezekiel 9, the man who's clothed in linen with an inkhorn at his side, the scribe of the Lord. All things go together. We are a family. You must learn the legends in the lore. It is said inside of history that Egypt, the great land of Kim, was founded by Thoth, where he ruled for 16,000 years. You don't believe that's possible? Tell me, what limit is there upon the Creator for how long a being can live? You cannot limit what the infinite Creator does and what is its will. But as long as you live inside the world of physical man, your mind and eyes will not believe the sights that you may behold. And that's why many times it was hidden. But I do believe, as is said in the Aquarian Gospel, the day has come that every man is their own priest. And every man can be their own king within themselves. A king in heaven, better than a king on earth. For it leads to ever-abiding joy. Once you learn to fully submit. Islam means submission. It was told by the Prophet Muhammad. Inshallah. I watched Ertugrul to learn about Islam. Because you can tell people how they think of themselves by the stories they leave for their children to inspire them. That's where you learn their actual law. Not through the screens and hatred blasted at you, but understand them and observe their culture. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's an action, not a saying. He said, there's only one God. So he went around and had people destroy idols and temples so they can get it. He was making it a physical action on the outside, trying to force the change, maybe. I haven't read or studied, but I know he did say this, and I know he destroyed his idols. People destroy idols because of that. There's only one, and it lies within. Honor the Father. Jesus said the same thing. The yogis are trying to get back to be one with the infinite Creator. Everyone's seeking. Buddha trying to meld into nirvana, and nirvana is the heavens. Everyone's seeking a path. What are you all arguing for instead of sharing wisdom? Why is your mind so slow? Why are you so narrow? So, you must build the temple within yourself. You must sit inside the valley of the shadow of death, which is meditation. That'll be covered more in another teaching. Now, since the knowledge was betrayed and given to men, they now do wrong sacrifices. I'm sure you all, many, may be aware of dark actions in cults. There's processes that happen. But before I tell you of their debauchery and how they profane, I will tell you of the Fire Rite. They speak about the carnal self. You must die to the world if you are to make it. The carnal man knows sense pleasures. The Aquarian Gospel clarifies this. Senses going here and there. The carnal self offers you this and it offers you that, but it only leads to woe. The higher self, the spirit self, is God within man. But by going with your carnal nature, you cannot go and be in your higher nature. Matthew 6 again, no man can serve two masters. No man can serve God, energy, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, and mammon, the mammalian nature. The carnal knowledge, your carnal self. I built a temple within myself, and within myself I had an altar. And the altar, since I'm an Aries, naturally I use fire. Just the way things evolve whenever you're doing things, doing your own internal shadow work, as they call it. I got to a point where I stepped before into the flame, and it burned away everything that I am not, so that I can be the being that I am. The fire sacrifice, the offering of the animal, is your inner animal, put before the temple inside of yourself. You bring your burdens and your things and the sins that you have done, and you put them onto the fire and incinerate them to never go back again. To remember, you wear the ashes of your old ego, but you remember your higher self. You claim what you have done, but you refine yourself. And through this refinement of finding things within yourself to set on fire, you form an ember that's always ablaze within you. The human sacrifice is a sacrifice of self. But because you've become uncircumcised, you are not within yourself as you were when you were a kid. Because children are inside of a way in heaven in their perception. Though outside we make it a hell. Inside, when they're walking around in their space jumping over lava, they are within the kingdom. They're playing. It is over time that people added things onto them, gave you a race, gave you a sex, gave you a nation, gave you an economic status. These various caste systems were taken seriously by seeing what it actually is, the refinement of yourself. They do external actions and cause destruction. The true fire sacrifice is an offering of yourself to the flame. Remember that. Your carnal self must die to the world. If it will die, then you purge it by fire. The dark ones, they profane. Where do the children go? As some as you all have now found out. What the people that are leaders are into all over the world. By them taking one who is in the kingdom and putting them underneath extreme stress, they manifest the chemical cocktails for them to leave the body. It flows into the blood. And then those people absorb it. They take it into themselves. Because the teaching of Thoth was betrayed to the north or the south, you see pictures from the old day of people holding up babies, drawings, paintings, and them draining blood from the babies. Like lambs to a slaughter. They took something that was spiritual and in their ignorance made it physical and found a dark path that leads to nothing but woe and despair and withering within themselves and possession by other beings. Because they know not themselves, they do everything to run from themselves. They do everything to cover up themselves and their sins that they've made. And it eats at them. These things are real. Very real. I saw them while I slept as a kid. Some people are gifted. And not every gift seems like a gift. Sometimes it feels like a curse. Those of us who have gifts, you may know what I mean. To clarify, for a little bit more clarity, because I've been quoting scripture, and you can find it. I studied all the traditions, or I've been studying, and putting together the things, and now I see. It is not a circumcision of the flesh. The Lord made you perfect. In every way, everything is designed. The body has its reasons. The final blueprint was approved. You've not been in slavery. You've been in ignorance, not knowing yourself and that you could have freedom at any point in time. We blame others and say, oh, they keep us inside this matrix. The spiritual folks that are out there into the deep things and looking through things. No one keeps you in the matrix besides yourself and your lack of knowledge and understanding and submitting to the system that's before you. You want to find the Creator, but you do not want to submit to the Creator of all things. Trust me, there are too many perceptions from too many different planets all throughout the various cosmoses and realms that it can draw from. There's nothing new under the sun. But just like inside of stories and movies, how motifs repeat themselves over inside different movies, and there's an arc and you have resolutions. There are many stories being told. We are the characters that we build for the story of the infinite one. But first, you must build your character. So here, you incarnate into a physical world so that you can understand what it means to be a good, decent being first, before you go into the higher things and you pass away from earth to live within the heavens. There is an order and a system. It has never been denied you. You just must seek it. I'm giving you a teaching. Don't go around making all the crazy stuff around the teaching either. I'm explaining things to you. I am something of a teacher. I've been cultivated into being that. Though I did not know that's what I would do, and I originally rejected being that said thing. You must submit. But when you do, you open the door for infinite possibilities. And you will walk a path that is your own individual journey. But it will feel wonderful to you. I have a relationship with life and death. I watch things. I understand things of them. And so now I read to you the Katha Upanishad. Death as a teacher. I too studied death for a long time, and it missed me. You can pick up wherever you want, but I'm starting at 9. You can find this online. All the information is free. It's all out there. All you have to do is go verify it. Yama is the name of death personified. It's for the Hindu sages, and it's also for the Buddhists. They call him Yama. The Tibetans, in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, you have to pass by Yama. And he will show your sins and weigh your scales. You must walk by them, O nobly born, so that you can come back and be reincarnated. Something around that line. Haven't fully read that book. Studied it a little bit, but it's very, very complex. These teachings, it's really complex. So now, Yama has returned home. He's been gone for 3 days. A boy named Nachiketa is there waiting. He's been inhospitable, so he offers the boy 3 boons. Yama, O spiritual guest, I grant you 3 boons to atone for the 3 inhospitable nights you have spent in my abode. Ask for 3 boons, 1 for each night. So I'm pretty sure he sat in the valley of death, in the shadow of death, for 3 days or 3 nights. Meditation in the darkness. And when you meditate within the darkness, your body, the melatonin, which is a sacred secretion, it becomes DMT. I like the theatrics going on outside. Nachiketa, O king of death, as the first of these boons, grant that my father's anger be appeased, so he may recognize me when I return and receive me with love. Yama. I grant that your father, the son of Udalaka in Aruna, will love you as in the past. When he sees you released from the jaws of death, he will sleep again with the mind at peace. Nachiketa. There is no fear at all in heaven, for you are not there, neither old age nor death. Passing beyond hunger and thirst and pain, all rejoice in the kingdom of heaven. This is to going into the energy body, tapping into your higher self. You have to go through a process of awakening it within yourself. It's an electrical system. We live in an electromagnetic universe. And whenever you get out of there, since you are nothing but energy, you do not need food or thirst or pain. They always say heaven's up there. The heaven that they build up there, you're going to eat good food and drink good drink. You have no need for that if you have not a body that's made of flesh. You are inside your spirit self. You are the spirit man within, the person looking out of the eyes only. We are not white or black or Mexican or Asian, or no nation, no color, none of that. You know the fire sacrifice that leads to heaven. O King of Death, I have full faith in you and ask for instruction. Let this be your second boon to me. Yes, I do know Nachiketa, and shall teach you the fire sacrifice that leads to heaven and sustains the world, the knowledge concealed in the heart. Now listen. The narrator. Then the King of Death taught Nachiketa how to perform the fire sacrifice, how to erect the altar for worshiping the fire from which the universe evolves. Spirit, energy, electricity, fire. Whenever you watched Avatar, Azula, whenever she got mad, she would shoot out lightning, fire. Go watch Avatar The Last Airbender. You're on quarantine. You don't got nothing to do. It's a good show. And it teaches at the chakras too. I had onion banana juice with one of my apprentices. You had to put cinnamon and stuff in there. It's onions and bananas. It's to clean your chakras. Child show. Hey man, that's the stuff kids do. I was an adult though, but they say you must be childlike to enter into the kingdom, right? When the boy repeated his instruction, the dread King of Death was well pleased and said, Yama, let me give you a special boon. This sacrifice shall be called your name, Nachiketa. Accept from me this many-hued chain too. Those who thrice perform this sacrifice realize the unity with the father, mother, and teacher, and discharge the 3 duties of studying the scriptures, ritual worship, and giving alms to those in need, rise above birth and death. have thrice performed the sacrifice. There's 3 worlds. If you read the autobiography of a yogi, Sri Ekaswar explains the 3 worlds when he goes through a resurrection and Yogananda talks to him. He speaks of the causal world, of the astral world, and of the gross physical world. So he who has obtained the sacrifice 3 times for the 3 worlds realize their unity with the Father, Mother, and Teacher, which could be Father, Mother, and Son, and discharge the 3 duties of studying the scriptures. Teacher also means guru, by the way. And Shiva is Adiyogi, the great guru, which may mean that he is also tapped into what one may call the Christ. That'll be a different lesson on what that actually means for those who truly have a spiritual hunger. Knowing the God of fire, born of Brahman, they attain perfect peace. Brahma is the universal aspect that creates, separated from the internal one. Still, it's a part of the one. Vishnu is the seed that everything is created from, and Shiva is the perception. He was not the cause is cause. The cause is cause, separated, and gave birth to Vishnu, and then another aspect of himself. And then probably Brahma. Yeah, it was Brahma. From Vishnu came a son, or from Vishnu's navel came out Brahma, which was the creator. So you have cause is cause, formation of the ethers, or the electromagnetic universe that Vishnu sits upon all things. And then you have the actual perceiver, or Brahma, that goes through and creates, like how we can create inside of ourselves our inner temple. The Atman. Those who carry out this triple duty, conscious of its full meaning, will shake off the dread noose of death and transcend sorrow to enjoy the world of heaven. Thus have I granted you the second boon, Nachiketa, the secret of the fire that leads to heaven. It will have your name. Ask now, Nachiketa, for the 3rd boon. And this is where it gets good. When I was a kid, I seen so many things. I'm like, why do I want money if I'm gonna die? I was a teenager. I'm just sitting there like, I go to school for 8 hours a day so I can work for 8 hours a day, which would turn to 12 hours a day because you're going to work for 8 hours a day and then go to night school or whatever, so 12-hour days, and then you go and just working 12-hour days all the time. And I'm going to have kids, and I'm going to live all this time working back and forth and doing these things that I probably don't really want to do, and I might get divorced and have child support. Man, dude, why am I going to do all this? What's the point? Why? You tell me why. And no one can tell you why. They're just like, you have to grow, you have to have experience. So you have to go and do things. I'm just a dude doing things. Once I got to that point where I realized I'm just a dude doing things, and don't take it too personally. That comes from the 4 Toltec agreements. Don't take anything too personally. I'm just a dude doing things. I can help out. I have to live from inside of me. It's the best I can do for anybody. That's why I aspire to inspire and tell everyone to live their highest ideal, to become it, realize it within yourself, and become it. Here we go. It's getting good, guys. Nachiketa. When a person dies, there arises this doubt. He still exists, some say. He does not, say others. I want you to teach me this truth. This is my 3rd boon. Yama. This doubt haunted even the gods of old. For the secret of death is hard to know. Nachiketa, ask for some other boon, and release me from my promise. Nachiketa. This doubt haunted even the gods of old, for it is hard to know, O death, as you say. I can have no greater teacher than you, and there is no equal boon to this. Yama. Ask for sons and grandsons who live 100 years. Ask for herds of cattle, elephants and horses, gold and vast land. Ask to live as long as you desire. Or if you can think of anything more desirable, ask for that. with wealth and long life as well. Nachiketa, be the ruler of a great kingdom, and I will give you the utmost capacity to enjoy the pleasures of life. And for beautiful women of loveliness, rarely seen on earth, riding in chariots, skilled in music, to attend on you. But Nachiketa, don't ask me about the secret of death. You see, death himself came. And to avoid giving his secret, he told Nachiketa, ask for anything in life. You go to the churches, to the temples, and they say, some of them, this new stuff that's going on. God wants you to have this wealth. He wants you to have this thing. He wants you to be like this. He wants you to have that success. And they feed your ego, your desire for sense things, vice making you look inward and become silent. Seek out the in one so you know what you're doing. Because no matter what you get, because I've had money before, I had more than enough for me, and I drank it away. Rancor. Old habits die hard. I spent it as offering money to women, trying to think I was doing the right thing, and then they came around and were like, it's like you're trying to buy my love. Why? No matter what I would achieve on the outside, how big or great the house would be, everyone comes where they're laying on that bed. And they're breathing in and out. You can either do Maha Samadhi and separate from your body appropriately, or through your ignorance and lack of knowledge of yourself and how strong and powerful you are and what you were made to be in the Creator's image. You lay there and die, laboring in breath, hurting and suffering. You leave the mortal coil. You are a child of God. It's already been told you. Psalms 82:6. I have said, ye are gods. All of you are children of the Most High. The Gospel of Philip says, a horse sires a horse. A man sires a man. God, when you go inside yourself and you're seeking to be born of God, to be reborn again, God sires gods. Lowercase g. This is the natural spiritual progression. And if you say you want to give condemnation to me, don't give that to me. Go read John 10:33 and 34. I have not made it there yet at that level, but it's right there. It's set. The scripture cannot be broken to who it came from. And it's the scripture of David. It's a psalm. And I am sanctified, and showing you through my good works, I am sanctified. So why do it make you think I am not a son of God? I'm not the son of God. You're one son. So he was very sassy all the time. He was pointing out that they didn't know what they were talking about, or the law, the things that they think they read. That is what the master said. He is a mastermind. Nachiketa. These pleasures last but until tomorrow, and they wear out the vital powers of life. How fleeting is all life on earth. Therefore, keep your horses and chariots, dancing and music for yourself. Never can mortals be made happy by wealth. How can we be desirous of wealth when we see your face and we know we cannot live while you are here? This is the boon I choose and ask for. Having approached an immortal like you, how can I, subject to old age and death, ever try to rejoice in a long life for the sake of the senses' fleeting pleasures? Dispel this doubt of mine, O King of Death. Does a person live after death, or does he not? Nachiketa asks for no other boon than the secret of this great mystery. Sense pleasures. Everything outside yourself. Needing to feed your mouth and eat. I fast often, actually. Needing to have sex. Animal urges. Pleasures that need to be desired, to be fulfilled. And once you fulfill that pleasure, the world all of a sudden opens up and you have all these other things that are wrong. But then eventually you'll get hungry again. All these things will disappear. You go back to needing your food. You no longer see the greater thing. When you go through fast, like Lent and stuff like that, you're supposed to actually not eat so you can start to become spirit man. It's not giving up your cell phone for a little bit of time or deleting an app. There's a discipline here that must be obtained if you want to actually go to the higher realms. Stop being selfish selves and separate from that selfish self and understand what the tools are that we were given to get to the higher states. Yama. The joy of the spirit ever abides, but not what seems pleasant to the senses. Both these, differing in their purpose, prompt us to action. The inner joy of the spirit inside the kingdom, it ever abides, you're always joyful. But what seems pleasant to your senses, oh, this relationship you're in, this is the man, you just got this. You all didn't take time to learn each other and talk to each other and know each other. You're just like, hey, let's do this. We're jumping all in and everything feels good. Those sense pleasures, but not what seems pleasant to the sense pleasures. So at first that spirit's happy and you're good. And then suddenly you're not anymore because you didn't take the time to learn each other. And things change and it falls apart. Or people don't talk and they don't grow. And all of a sudden what was a pleasant sense pleasure becomes a nightmare. Just one example. The same thing happens with alcohol. Overindulgence. All is well for those who choose the joyous spirit, but they miss the goal of life, who prefer the pleasant, if you prefer the pleasant. I always teach my students whenever I do come across people that need instruction. Beware the dark, for in the darkness you cannot see, but you can feel everything around you, and this will paralyze you. Continue to walk forward on your path. Continue to move, even in the darkness, so that you can eventually get to the light. Things will change. Stagnation is death. And when you get to the light and you're inside these happy times, do not forget that the darkness comes and goes. People sometimes get inside the light and they see shiny things and feel these good emotions. And they sit there and they stay. And for that, they go into stagnation. And stagnation is death. Inside of a river, as it flows, the living river, you can drink the water from it before we polluted everything. You could drink the water from it and it would give you life. But if you drink from the pool that had been separated off and stayed there in this little area that did not continue to flow down life, you would drink death from the stagnation. So even if you are into these light and good emotions, there is still stagnation, which is death. You must continue to walk forward on the endless path, the journey of the spirit returning. Every step. And that's what leads to the never ending, the true joy of all things. It led to naught, which is nothing. And 99% of everything is made of nothing. Which means that that's a deeper realm within that we don't comprehend. Perennial joy or passing pleasure. This is a choice one is to make always. Those who are wise recognize this, but not the ignorant. The first welcomes what leads to abiding joy, though painful at a time. Buddha taught of the 7 Noble Truths and that suffering happens and that you should learn to be indifferent to your pleasures and to your pains. You're still walking forward. You on the inside are the being. And yes, there's external things that are happening that are unpleasant to you, but you must not let them affect your internal self. That's a different from living outside in to being inside out and being your true self. And that makes you feel better. Even though it hurts, eventually it gets to the point where it feels better. The latter run, goaded by their senses, at the what seems immediate pleasure. Well, have you renounced these passing pleasures so dear to the senses, Nachiketa, and turned your back on the way of the world? Have you died to the world? That makes mankind forget the goal of life. The world that makes mankind forget the goal of life is the external world and all the senses and running towards the things, wanting to be in the things. You must clean yourself internally. You must do the fire sacrifice. You must burn up your desires so that you can come into law and live inside peace. Far apart are wisdom and ignorance. The first leads one to self-realization. Wisdom leads to self-realization of what you are. The second makes one more and more estranged from one's real self. I regard you, Nachiketa, as worthy of instruction. For passing, the pleasures tempt you not at all. Passing pleasures do not tempt you at all. Period. You've given up. You've renounced the world. You can still be busy working in the world. Lahiri Mahasaya, a great yogi, he made it. He was busy in the world. He retired. He got into his yoga thing, and he mastered it. He remembered he mastered. So it's constant mastery. It's constant things that can be done. There's many great stories and traditions out there across the world for us to share in. We are family. And if we learn each other's traditions and really comprehend what they mean with our critical mind, we learn a great deal of things from the others and their stories. Yama continues on. Ignorant of their ignorance, yet wise in their own esteem. Those deluded men, proud of their vain learning, go round and round like the blind led by the blind. Does that make sense? In their own esteem. Ignorant of their ignorance. They do not know that they do not know. They do not to ignore. There's a difference between nescience. Nescience actually means you do not know of a thing. You've never heard of this thing before. It's a brand new thing onto you. Ignorance is hearing of a thing and deciding not to learn of it because you do not want wisdom. First, you learn of things to get knowledge. Then knowledge over time, as you accumulate more knowledge, becomes wisdom. Ignorant of their own ignorance, not knowing the things that are going on, not increasing their knowledge of the world and the exterior, that the creation's been manifested and manifold. Yet they're wise in their own esteem. They've been told by others they're wise, and they pat each other on the back all the time. Good work, guys. You've been there in the work meetings. You know how pointless some of them are. People are just sitting around talking, and they talk for 40 minutes, giving all these pats on the back and good job, this, good job, that. You're still getting paid the same price you're getting paid, and you might not be getting paid that much at all. And you're like, why am I even here? Yeah, I got to this position, but y'all don't even want to pay me for the position. Many people go through these types of feelings. Life teaches lessons. Those deluded men, proud of their vain learning, vain because they're patting each other on the back. They're not really studying. They're not really going into it. They go round and round, led the blind, like the blind leading the blind. And that's why Jesus gave the condemnation to the Pharisees, the woe you hypocrites, you go not in yourself. You lay heavy burdens on people, and you build these great steeples on the outside, all for show. What? You're telling me you have to start reading all the other things and you can see it? Far beyond their eyes, hypnotized by the world of sense, opens the way to immortality. I am my body. When my body dies, I die. Living in this superstition, they fall life after life under my sway. You will constantly go to death and come back. Because instead of a loving parent, they do not punish their child all the time. They mess up. They fall out the way. Yes, but you help them grow. So you teach them lessons. And each life carries a lesson. So you, as a soul, put on many bodies so you can grow and learn the lessons. That it is to make you go from being physical man and to entertained by the senses to being spirit man within yourself. It is few but who hear about the self. Fewer still dedicate their lives to his realization. Wonderful is the one who speaks about the self. Rare are they who make it the supreme goal of their lives. Blessed are they who, through an illumined teacher, attain self-realization. I didn't have a teacher, but I did study death. I had many things I needed to work out. You wouldn't believe it. I actually used to be, like, my style looks pretty dark when I'm actually in my full regalia, but it's my way, the path I took in my admission to the world of the Creator. The truth of self cannot come through one who has not realized that he is the self. I know that. The intellect cannot reveal the self. Beyond its duality of subject and object, it's an actual act of being. Your intellect cannot understand it. You have to start transitioning into it. It's a being thing. Those who see themselves in all, let me go back real quick. The intellect cannot reveal the self beyond its duality of subject and object. This is also where the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali come in, that you need to read The Light of the Yoga Sutras by Vinyar. He goes into breaking down the different pieces and objects. It's something that you have to read enough things and you grasp. It pops. It's like a light that flips on. I've acquired knowledge that makes the light flip, that made my light flip on. Now I'm trying to share the information with everyone through my work that I'm doing on my channel. Those who see themselves in all, and all in them help others through spiritual osmosis to realize the self themselves. Those who see themselves in all, the person looking at your eyes, I know that the person is looking at my eyes, the same person looking at your eyes, but we just have on different perceptions and filters, and that makes us think we're different. But really, we're the same quintessence, the deus ex machina. All in them help others through spiritual osmosis to realize the self in themselves. Just by your presence, when you make it into the self, others start to feel the self coming from you, and it starts to help them wake up within the self, or the being within, the child of the Father. You must read more of the Upanishads to understand what the self is, the Lord of Love. And the Aquarian Gospel also ties it in as well. This awakening you have comes not through logic and scholarship, but from close association with a realized teacher. Well, if I was studying death and death was my teacher, you see it? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't made it, but I'm pretty sure I haven't made it. But I've seen some things. I've definitely had some experiences. Wise are you, Nachiketa, because you seek the self-eternal. May we have more seekers like you. Nachiketa. I know the earthly treasures are transient, and never can I reach the eternal through them. Hence, I have renounced all my desire for earthly treasures, to win the eternal through your instruction. I've given away my desire for the earthly treasures and the big things and all this other stuff. Just let me have enough is enough, a simple life. And if everyone got into that type of mindset, there would not be greed amongst the planet. We would be able to. You have tools in your garage, you haven't used them forever, and someone out there wants to build right now. They don't have a saw, but they want to build a garden for their home. We could be sharing these things and building community, because enough is enough, and what we have is what we have. And we can actually come together if we understand and seek these principles, if you truly get it. This is how you actually change the world. This is a revolution of the self within that needs to happen so that the outside world can stop being crazy. And we can all pull together and make the world better. We can now see from here to Iran, or to Japan, or to South Africa, or Canada, or Brazil. We can see the fires in Australia and inside the rainforest, and through Europe. We can see the flooding inside the Middle East. We can see the waters breaking open, and there's all this blood-looking stuff coming out, and locust crowds are going everywhere. And it's time for a revolution of mind. As a plague now locks everyone down inside their house, it was time for us to examine ourselves and maybe do a little work within ourselves. Go back to being like that kid. Children, I heard it when I was a kid, build a temple within yourself. Temple. Well, yeah. So I started doing it. Well, wasn't even that. I just kind of needed to do it. I had to have a place to go that was safe, and that's what's called the asylum for me. At first, I thought I was going crazy. Insanity's asylum. But it's my sanctuary. It's where I do my work, and it's where knowledge of these things come from, because I put in the work in there within to see it without once I obtain the knowledge to make the outside and the inside collapse. It's like a collapsing wave that they both hit and they kind of assimilate together. Yama, I spread before your eyes, Nachiketa, the fulfillment of all worldly desires, power to dominate the earth, delights, celestial gain through religious rites, miraculous powers beyond time and space. These, with all will and wisdom, have you renounced. Yes, he gave him anything he wanted to. You could have had the kingdom, you could have had all the women, you could have had many children, you could have had all these things. I laid before you all the riches and the wealth. I could have had all the money. There's ways to make money. There's always this, but if you're constantly struggling to do the things, vice going inside yourself and truly seeking deeper meaning, you will find that things get hard inside of your way. Just walk your path and know yourself, and then the inspiration will come to you for what you must do. And when you do what you must do, it will not feel like you're doing work, but you are doing a great service, and you feel happy inside yourself for what you do. If we all did the things that made us happy inside of ourselves, we would not sit up here and have to feel all this guilt and fear and shame over the things that we are or how we've been. We're always free to change at any point in time. You're always free to be reborn. That's what the baptism and going down to the watery grave was supposed to mean. It's an action of washing yourself internally and making yourself pure. The same way as in Islam, they change their name and they have an Islamic name that's given to them when they become a Muslim. Because it's a different person. It's a change inside of yourself. It's the same type of things. He offered them all the things, but he renounced them. And so therefore now he gives him the heavens. The devil came and tempted Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane to offer him all things, save yourself. And he didn't, because he was seeking to attain heaven, the higher learnings, spiritual discipline, spiritual teachings. There are higher things for us to do. We should be living at least with people being comfortable, having food and shelter. We make more than enough food. We're throwing food away right now, and there's still people hungry in the world. Why don't we ship that to them? We're a global community already. I see people worried about the global society and the globalists. You must understand, this is going to happen. We can see all over the world already. The world is Christ supposed to just rule one nation when he comes back? Or is it supposed to be a ruling of all nations? You're going to become a global society. Seek within yourself is what he said. And you will see, we will become a global society. It's not inside of our choice. Now, the things we do choose is, how do we do this? Do we come together as a people? Or are we led like lambs to the slaughter by people who are rich and want to eliminate and continue to indulge inside their sense pleasures and put down everyone else? They've made no great contributions. They've sat there and slowly withered laws away. We need great sages to return to the world. We need seekers and people who are ready to sacrifice so that they themselves can go into these laws, these places of office, and take away all the extra money they're paying themselves. Make it a law that you can't do that. Become the wise men, the great councils that we see inside our heads as children, where they would all gather and they would sit there and discuss things. And they were doing it for the betterment of men, not for their own selfish gain. And that is why your nation fails. That is why the world falls into turmoil. For the wise do not speak, for they have made you ignorant, and you cannot recognize the wise. Open your eyes. Think about yourself and what you have to do inside yourself. Before I spread before your eyes, Nachiketa, the fulfillment of all worldly desires, power to dominate the earth, delights, celestial gain through religious rites, miraculous powers beyond time and space. These, with will and wisdom, have you renounced. The wise, realizing through meditation the timeless self beyond all perception, hidden in the cave of the heart, leave pain and pleasure far behind. the timeless self, and meditation. Those who know they are neither body nor mind, but the immemorial self, the divine principle of existence. Find the source of all joy and live in joy abiding. I see the gates of joy are opening for you, Nachiketa. You have found the eternal self. You are entering within the kingdom. You are doing the things that need to be done so that whenever this body passes, you will still be aware. You will not suffer your memory loss. Every night you return to the Father. As you go to sleep, you go into the world of dreams, and then you pass into the world where you don't dream, and that is the actual place. Every night you have free enlightenment. You can go watch Sadhguru's video on it. He talks about it. I'm just streaming together other people's teachings for you, so it makes it easier for you to see. I already have the lesson. I already know the things. I don't have to share it. I could just live. But I feel this is important for everyone to really get to know. You are your own priest inside the coming of this age. You must study and improve yourself. Yes, you can talk to others and listen, but use discernment inside everything. Don't just listen to me and my words and what I'm saying. Use discernment and go seek it out for yourself. As I sought, for as you seek, you will find. And you will find, no matter where you go, in all climes of life, all the different faces that the Lord may wear, there is only one infinite creator. Yeah, it's hard to accept. Some people want to say, no, that's not how it goes. But guess what, bro? There's only one. You get to the end of the line inside thought, and that's the only thing you get there. So there's something outside of time that is making all things happen. We can go into this more, and I will, as I continue my teaching. I'll continue to go over the death as a teacher. Let's have another one. This video is long enough. I believe that I get the point across. You must learn yourself. As it says in the Quran Gospel, if you would ask me what to study, I would say yourself. And if you come back after you study yourself and ask me what to study, I say yourself again. The most vast land a man can roam is the inside of his mind. And I roamed, and eventually I found a temple. And over time, I refurbished it, and then it was destroyed. Then it rebuilt itself, and then it was destroyed. Over and over, my temple within was destroyed until it purified itself to a place where I could see and understand. I had many things and emotional baggage going on within me that I needed to get rid of. And that's what the purging is about. The fleshing, ripping away the flesh things, the things that hurt, that don't make sense. Why is this stuck on me? This is all being given to you in my dissertation. I hope you enjoyed the message, the true meaning of sacrifice, human sacrifice. Also how the Dark Ones betrayed and how Thoth warned us of it. This comes from our legends and lore, that if you do not have the mind and eyes to see that the world is not what you think it is, if you still believe that there aren't other beings out there in this cosmos, with all the creation that's going on, and the bunnies and the trees and the ferns and the bees and all the different speciation on this one planet, and there are billions of stars in the universe, and you don't already know there is other life out there, I cannot help you. But if your mind is open, that the infinite creator, the one that people call God, is a creator that goes all the way over, follow the lessons I'm giving. I'm not doing it for you to follow me. I do not care about you being followed. I'm just getting information out. Every person is their own priest. I would like for us to come together, make the world a better place for the children, so then I can have kids because I feel better about the situation that's going on. Like, geez, man, come on. I'm holding on here so I can observe the even closer life and trying to do my sage things, and y'all are messing up the world. Okay? I can be a little selfish sometimes, right? But my selfishness is for something that's better and greater. Something better than this. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I'm the priest of ashes. I aspire to inspire you to be your highest ideal. And the only thing that I require is that you seek your highest ideal. So wake up.